Hey guys, so here I am lying on my back trying to get some measure of comfort. I threw it out going to the gym today and it hurts like you would not believe. But enough about my age and age related injuries. Let's get down to it. So, in this video where you and I are going to talk a little bit about JavaScript and something that I think needs a little bit of an addressing, and it's probably not something that you're all that unfamiliar with unless you are a server-side developer predominant, mostly. Let's use that word, that's easier to say. And so basically what the thought I've had about this is that I was talking to a colleague the other day about this perception where you have server-side developers or server-side engineers, and then you have the trendy like up-and-coming term front-end developer. And it's getting to the point today in the IT industry that they are actually looking for front-end developers. And that kind of sparked a very nice conversation between the two of us, where we talk about like why that distinction actually exists, and that there's actually this, at least from my experiences, there is this subtle little rivalry almost between the two. And see, the thing is that the server-side developers that I've talked to, who, like, most of everybody is usually very nice, but there are those out there who have this little attitude that, all the real work's happening on the server, and, the front-end people aren't all that, what they're doing isn't all that meaningful, valuable, call it whatever you will. There's a negative tone to the way that they perceive people who work predominantly, got it, in stuff like JavaScript, CSS, and so forth and so forth. Now, what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit here is that since I've been working on both sides of the fence, and even though people like to call themselves full stack developers, I don't know if I would go that far as to say that I'm a full stack developer, but I feel very comfortable both on the server and on the front end. And basically, in my experience, the biggest problem area I find tends to be in the front-end code. Now, just hear me out here. Like, I'm not saying that it's a matter of complexity. I'm saying it's a matter of code quality, maintenance, and actual results, if that makes sense. Now, almost all of the companies that I've worked for so far has wanted me to have a very active role in the front end, and all of them have had one thing in common, and that is that their front end code is absolutely horrible. All of them. Every single one of them. All of them. Even the bigger companies and the people who have so many great engineers doing such a great job with the system, they still have an absolutely horrible front end. And I have spoken to many of my colleagues, some of them from back in Ticketmaster days, and some of them who are now in other companies, and they keep on telling me the same thing. They want me to, I've actually gotten a new job offer from an old colleague, or like he wants me to come over to his company and help out to solve the front end issue there as well, because they have the same problem. They have server-side developers who are interested in JavaScript or know JavaScript, but they don't want to, but they still need a front end and an expert. So I'll give you I'll give you my experience what that usually means. If you have a like an almost exclusive server-side development team, and they tell you that they know JavaScript, and you still have a sucky code base, then they know JavaScript as well as I know higher mathematics. I can do it, but I will absolutely suck at it. And that's exactly what the problem is. That's why front-end development has become a thing. Because the fact of the matter is that it used to be the case that people thought that if you knew jQuery and you kind of knew how the DOM worked, and JavaScript is a very simple programming language. It's a very small programming language. But the mistake is that you think that just because it's small that it's easy to do and it's easy to maintain. And the fact is that it's so horrendously easy to make mistakes and make a really bad front-end code base, basically, that the industry is more and more looking for individuals who have actual knowledge and interest and experience working in the browser environments and doing all this stuff, because it is really tricky to get right. It's like CSS. It takes you an afternoon to learn the basics of CSS, but it takes you a lifetime to get good at it. And that brings me to like where this like something that an open question basically to those out there who believe that rather people who don't really value how or appreciate how extremely difficult it is to do front-end development. I mean, if this was something everybody could do, yeah, because sure, everybody can do front-end development, but very few people can get it right. Even senior developers. I have worked with people who are so senior that by my standards, as senior as it gets, amazing developers who they simply can't do it. They can't use CSS or JavaScript in an effective manner to produce the results that the business want. So to me, it's just another type of problem, really. Like, to me, it doesn't matter if I'm on the server or on the front end, because I understand that there are they're simply different problems to be solved. And getting into the habit of trying to say that what's more difficult or what's more valuable and so forth, we can trade blows about that, and I'll give you an argument why CSS is tricky, and you'll give me an argument why network monitoring or memory management is tricky. And honestly, what I think has been the issue, and I think it's the same issue we see in how when women are encouraged to join workforces, like traditionally male dominated workforces, I think it's the same type of problem where one group perceives another group to be less valuable because there is some perceived difference in the required skill or aptitude or something like that. In our case, I think that it has to do with the fact that it used to be that if you wanted to be a system engineer, you wanted to be a programmer, you needed to go to school, like learn computer science. You needed to do a lot of work in order to have a degree and become a real programmer. But as a front-end developer, there's a lot of people who come in with very poor understanding of like actual engineering, like actual understanding of computers and how computer science works. And so, I mean, I have tons of colleagues that are, in the front-end developers who they have absolutely they have no formal degree. They are all self-taught. They're not absolutely bad. They're not bad at all. But there is a distinct lacking in their knowledge of things that are more server-side oriented, or like algorithms and stuff. Like, they don't know these things. And it's not a hard requirement for their job. It's just that it shows very quickly when you're talking with somebody who has like a master's degree or something like that. Like, they have knowledge that usually you don't. That isn't. Yeah, it's not that the people with fancier degrees are better. It's more that you can hear that they have more knowledge about the domain than the front-end developers have. And I think that's to me, that seems to be the core issue. And I can only say that from my experience, I think that there's a little bit of validity in the idea that it's better to know as much as possible. That's the way I like to think about it. The more you know, the better. And to me, in my experience, the best front-end developers I've ever had the good fortune of working with are server-side developers who started out on just doing server-side work and then transitioned into front-end development. That has so far been my experience. Those are the best. And what I want to end on is saying that I don't think we should get into the habit of trying to define what is more difficult, because that's just not productive. I think it's much more healthy to think about things in terms of, can you do this, yes or no? Because it doesn't matter if something is easier or more one thing is easy and one thing is difficult. If you can't do both, then then I think that you're limiting yourself and your own personal growth by simply dismissing the thing that you can't do. Because let's be honest here, if it was so easy, then why can't you do it? That's the way I think about it. I respect people who know things I don't, and I try to learn as much as possible. I don't care if it's easy or difficult. I care about if I can or if I can't.